Welcome to Dunamis Woman and Ram. Today, I am Dee Collins, and I am the host of this show. I am a publisher, coach, Dunamis woman. What else, Michelle?
Powerful woman.
Powerful woman.
Strategic life strategist.
All that.
All of that.
All of that. And you are a historian.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, Michelle Obasi, she's the guest right here on the show. Well, you're not a guest, but you're going to be a guest today. How about that?
I will be a guest
You'll
today.
be a guest today, okay. Because you have an outstanding organization called Water for Chocolate. And it deals with history. It teaches children history. It teaches women history. It teaches people history. Not just from a textbook perspective, but you have done a lot of research. You've done a lot of studying. And it's also a gift that I just believe God has endowed you with. And you have the power to bring that information out. We are celebrating women's history.
Yes, we
are.
are.
And I don't think that there is any other greater gift than to be made in a woman. That's just my sentiment, you know.
Most definitely.
I love my womanhood. And many people don't understand that because they have lost themselves in so many other professions called motherhood, sisterhood, wifehood, careerhood, all those things that we become because we have to fulfill those positions, but it's not really who we are, you know.
No.
So we wanted today on Dunamis Woman and Ram to really talk about women's history from a historical standpoint, because if we don't know that, we will continue to do the same thing, expect different results, and that is considered insane because that just won't happen. So women's history, what is that really like for us as women at large? Particularly from a historical standpoint.
You know, women history involves, we call it suffrage. It's actually being involved in a cause, but you sacrifice. When the women's history involves movements, there have been movements from the women's right to vote. There have been movements of women against lynching, movements, you know, way back when, even in this country, women in concentration camps, Japanese women, they had movements. You know, we think about the Holocaust and we think about the strength of the movement. It's the suffering, and it's already in us. It's the power that we possess, but it's that ability to overcome. It's that ability to endure, but it's that ability, even in our trials and tribulations, to still exude our womanhood, that inner beauty. You know, I see pictures of women who were farmers, just say, in Oklahoma and in different places, just living hard lives during the Depression, but they still managed to put a bow in their hair. They still managed to have on heels. They still managed to have on hosiery. They still managed to fix their children up. They still took pride in being a woman. Their men still had shirts, you know, pressed or whatever. And so I just think of that history. All of that is history. We can look back at the black and white pictures of Gordon Parks and other famous photographers, but we'll still see women who have gone through, who still have that touch of class, that touch of grace. And that's what it's about.
And I want to talk about that touch of class and that touch of grace, because that is a dunamis woman. And I see, and correct me if I'm wrong, so many things in our society that is trying to get us to lose that. You know, women losing their sensitivity, women losing their grace, their tenderness. We're becoming dominant. We're becoming hard. We're changing our identity. Want to believe that we're a man when we were created to be a woman. You know, many of those things, life challenges, have affected us in such a wide variety of ways that we have become damaged within our soul. Our self-esteem, you know, has become so impaired. You know, talk about that from a historical view of how you think what we have did then and what we're losing now to sustain that.
You know, one of the things that we've done as women historically is, we talked about it earlier, is we stuck together. There was women supporting other women. And how do I put this? When we didn't have, we had a lot more. So I'll give you an example, and I'm not a technology basher, or I'm not a person who's not progressive, but when we were in a situation where we had to depend on one another, for example, for food, for shelter, to help one another with rearing the children. Especially when our men went off, just say
to war,
and we had to stick together.
Yeah.
Or when we went through a situation like the Dust Bowl in Oklahoma and other places in the West, when we, went through slavery, we went through segregation in the Jim Crow era, when we went through the Holocaust and different things of that nature, we actually depended upon one another, and our faith, our level of faith in God was at its peak, I should say. But the more that we start becoming more materialistic, start consuming more, start getting away from holistic living, healthy living, really being with nature. I just have to go there. We started to lose that essence.
And when we became to get more rights that we fought for, but we did not have to fight as much for, we get this sense of grandiose mentality that we're all this and all that, because our foremothers and pioneers fought for things that we could just now walk into.
And one of the things that we, especially in my family, we looked down on Grandma. We loved her, but we looked down on Grandma because she didn't go to high school. She didn't go to college. But we failed to realize, because Grandma washed dishes and was a maid,
they were
or was
smart.
in the lunchroom.
They were smart.
They were very intelligent, very smart.
Very intelligent.
But on their backs and on their shoulders we rode. Because
Almost
without
everyone.
them, we wouldn't have been able to do. And henceforth, we forgot that history.
Well, and it goes back to something that we have lost that may not be as common as it was, and that's called common sense.
Yeah.
We've gotten so puffed up into women. We can go to school, we obtain degrees, we're now there working side by side, with a man in a position. If not, we don't oversee them, you know what I mean? But reality is that they still discriminate because we still don't get paid as much as they get paid.
It's a false sense of
It's
success.
a false sense of success. We have the responsibility, but you're not getting valued for it, So we're still fighting. We're still fighting, and the thing is that we're fighting one another. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a break, Michelle, because I want everyone to hear what we have coming up for Women's History Celebration, so women can come together. That's the first goal and objective. Celebrate one another. That's exactly what it is. We as women don't esteem one another enough, and we truly don't honor one another. We want someone to do it to us, but I think the word says, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And then we're going to come back, because we're going to talk about, as they will understand, the getting to the mind of the men, because we're going to have a panel of real awesome men that what you might not be able to say at home or ask the questions to your loved ones because you're so emotionally attached, that this is a golden opportunity, and these are some real awesome men. So I'm Pastor D. Stay tuned. I'll be right back. Michelle, stay with me.
I will.
Listen to this commercial, and we'll see you in a minute.
Are you lovely?
Are you intelligent?
I am powerful.
And I am sensual.
Do you know what I think that we are?
What are we?
We are
Dunamis Women.
I'm Ariel.
And I am Allison.
And we are here to invite you to our Women History event, Lips. Lovely, intelligent, powerful, sensual, a woman of power. And so I want to invite you to come out to join with other women who are coming together to really input and to give you some wisdom. We're going to have an amazing woman there, Mary D. Do you know who she is?
Yes, I do.
She is the legendary, people most know her from WGN television to there. She's going to be there to pour out wisdom into you. So if you're unsure if you are a woman of power, if you're young, a teenager, even if you are an adult, we invite you to come out and to just share the experience with other women. But I think that it's going to be men there also.
There?
I think so. I think it's going to be men from high school all the way up to alumni players from the NFL. So there's a lot of different perspectives that they could be able to give you, to pour into you and help you understand who you are as a woman. So we invite you to come out to our Power Pack Luncheon. It's going to be so much information, so much laughter, so much gathering, so much joy, and just having women come together and really celebrate what Women History Month is all about. So where can they go to get more information, and where we're going to be at that day?
We're going to be at the Holiday Inn in Elk Grove Village. So the website that you go to is www.dunamis-woman.com. Also at the bottom of your screen, there will be more information.
So we invite you to come out, join us, engage in fellowship and laughter as we come and celebrate you as a woman. The cost is just $55. It's an amazing price for you to invest in yourself. If you don't invest in yourself, nobody else will. So I invite you from all ages, women, come out and enjoy Dunamis Woman Power Pack Luncheon for lips. Lovely,
Intelligent,
powerful,
and sensual.
We are here to celebrate you.
Well, there you have it. Lips. You're lovely, you're intelligent, you're powerful, you're sensual. And you're actually getting that type of affirmation from a powerful woman such as myself. And I think you will agree with me, Michelle, won't you?
Yes, I do.
Whether you are considered an African-American woman, Caucasian woman, Indian woman, Asian woman, Philippine woman, whatever you want. You could be a polka dot woman. We really, really don't care at this point because you are all woman. And that's all that matters. We want to celebrate one another because we all have been fighting. We all have been struggling. And guess what? The enemy wants all of us, including our children. But the main thing he wants is for us to be detached
From our men.
from our men. Fail to realize, you came from the sperma of a father, which is a man. That's how you were created. When you met your mother's egg, and there you were, boom, formulated. And you grew and you grew and you grew until you're still growing. But on this day, Michelle, intentional. We have Donnell Wolford, and I really want him to be on the show. Great NFL former Bears player. Brilliant mind, great heart. He's one of the lead panelists just to talk about relationships. We have another former NFL player, Mark Green. We have Eric Wright. Oh, he is so awesome, spiritual, family man, maintain relationships. Then we have one of our nice gentlemen who is for Chicago Blitz, and he's a quarterback, getting ready to get married. So we have just a variety, a plethora of men from ages and backgrounds. Dean McMorris, he's the vice president of Nightlight, a great businessman. And then the last but not least, we have Nicholas Parks. He's on his way to college, but he is a real awesome man. And I really believe our young people, our teenagers,
would definitely benefit.
They definitely would benefit to get into this powerful young man's mind because he likes women. Thank God. Thank God. He likes women. So and men don't particularly talk.
Right.
They just do, but they're going to be transparent, and they're going to really, really give us some nuggets about themselves. Can't nobody tell you better. Can't nobody tell a woman better about a woman than a woman who's willing to be transparent. So the same thing for a man. So I'm just excited. I'm going to narrate it, and I'm going to get some information out of them. Oh, I'm going to dig deep. They're going to be left there drained, But I need you to be there because what's on your heart, you can ask, and now you could take these strategies, this information, and take it back and apply it to your relationship, raising your sons, having a wholesome relationship with your dad, getting healed in various areas of your life, So just getting into the mind of our men, Michelle, that's huge.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm in a transition.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely looking for some answers, some insight, and some wisdom. So I will definitely be there.
From a historical standpoint, even from a spiritual perspective, let's go there. Because I don't think that you can get into any man's mind unless you have a spiritual connection, unless there's a sense of spirituality.
It's not through his stomach. Oh, I'm just saying. That's the myth I heard.
No.
Okay, talk to me.
Because a man's mind was created by God. And I don't even think they know how powerful they really are. But we're going to esteem them that day too. But getting into the mind of a man is like unto getting into the mind of God.
That's powerful.
Isn't that powerful? That is so powerful. Talk about that even from a historical standpoint. What do you think the barriers there that we've always had to fight trying to get into their mind? Because they'll shut down in a minute.
The caveman syndrome. Men have been emasculated from day one.
Yes.
From their power. And a lot of men still blame the downfall of man on Eve. And so there has been mistrust from day one. There has been blame. There's been shifts in our relationships from day one. Women have been, we know our power, and I know men see our power. A man can sift out, look at a powerful woman He knows it. When she walks by, it's something about her. But because they have been so emasculated, either from, and a lot of pain comes from mom, first and foremost.
It does.
From mom or whoever in their life, it's just a lack of trust.
It is.
They don't want to be vulnerable anymore from past hurts. And so we can't get into their minds. And the only way we think we can get into their minds is in the bedroom.
Right.
You know,
right.
the myth is once you
And
get
they
them,
ain't talking then.
they ain't talking then,
They ain't talking then.
but that's a myth.
And if they do, they're going to tell you what they want you to know.
Right.
In order to get more. You know,
Right.
but I promise you, we have told them more than they have told us.
We talk a little bit too.
We talk
Too much.
So we want them to do the talking this time.
Right. But we need strategies. We always talk about strategies, skill, and timing. There's a time for everything. There's a certain skill that you have to possess.
Yes.
And a strategy. But you most of all, you know what men want? Truth. Respect and truth. That's even in the word.
Yes, it is. It is.
You know, so if we can't be honest with ourselves, and we can't convey that truth to those men, and they can sniff out.
But they're only going to get, you know, the truth through us who possess the truth that they don't want to face, if that makes sense. Because it's hard for a man to handle the truth.
It is.
You know, history, one of the things that's still prevalent today, that was then, and probably will be forevermore, is, for example, the truth is they can step out and be with another woman.
You see my face?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
But we have to handle that part, still love them, still try to trust.
Okay.
But they cannot even fathom in their mind that the woman that they love have been with another man.
Right.
That's history. It has been, still is, and probably will forever be. Am I right or wrong?
You're right.
Now, you cracked that mystery. You solved that problem. Because it's a mystery. Because they can't handle in that aspect truth. Because realistically, when you're out there, you're with someone's daughter. You're with someone's mother. You're with someone's sister. But you can't fathom nobody being with your sister. A man can't fathom nobody being with their wife. They can't fathom nobody being with the woman that's connected to them at all.
You know, it's a level of intimacy. It's a level of intimacy that man has with just all those women that you name. Now, it's not perverted.
No.
It's just a level of intimacy.
Yeah.
And men are possessive.
Yes, they are.
They hunt.
They do. They are.
They have a prize. Nobody's going to take the glory for that prize
Correct.
but
But them.
Nobody can conquer like they can. So it's a level of pride that they possess. Proud to have accomplished something, but they take pride in their mom. They take pride in their
most
sister.
definitely.
They take pride
Most
in
definitely.
their woman. And to have someone give themselves to somebody else, that's a no-no.
That's a no-no. But you know what?
That's caveman. That starts from
It
you know,
does.
that's
It does.
from ancient.
But we still have to take responsibility because we as women, from a historical standpoint, we valued our families. And we valued ourselves, you know. And back from a historical standpoint, we just didn't let any man around our children.
No.
We just didn't let, you know. Now, I'm not going to say we didn't do some stuff, you know what I'm saying? But we took care of home first. We did not let those things. And we've lost a sense of that as women, you know, which have put, you know, even our young men are angry when they see the mother go out with Tom, Dick, and Harry. You know what I'm saying? Who are you? You know, and why are you coming in, like you say, invading our territory, you know? And we as women, you know, we have to learn, first of all, the strategy, the skill, and the timing of knowing how to govern ourselves, you know? And I think foremothers had that kind of down pack in a sense.
You know, they did. They had a level of respect for themselves.
For themselves.
But they had a level of respect for their children.
Yes.
And they had a reverence,
They
whether
did.
it be for God, whether it be for the
Correct.
man, whether it be for the preacher, whether it be for whomever in the community, there was a level of reverence there, and we just don't have it.
And we did not have, from a historical standpoint, all the tangible things that we now can acquire. Right. We sat down with our children at the table and we ate with them because it wasn't a 42-inch screen, high definition television that in every room, you know, if we did have a TV at all. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Michelle, we're going to take a break and we're going to come wrap it up because there's so much that we could talk about because celebrating a woman has so many dynamics to it because of so many challenges that we face. But we have to get back to some foundational roots. We have to get back to some things that we did in history in order to launch forward into a bright, bright future. So I am Pastor D, host of this show, Dunamis Woman in Ram Today. Yes. We'll be right back with you. We have one more commercial because you are important to us. Stay tuned.
Ida White, Lena Brown, Audrey Harris, Lily Mae Robinson, Hannah Jean Jones. Do you know these women? They are sheroes. They are history. When I think about history, there are a plethora of women that we can think of. Harriet Tubman, Eleanor Roosevelt. But there are heroes. There are women who make history every day in our lives. There are mothers, our grandmothers, our aunts, our cousins, our neighbors, there are teachers, there are nurses, there are women in our lives who nurture us, who provide for us, not just monetarily, but they provide love, they provide inspiration, they provide encouragement. Everyone in your life who is a woman is powerful. Everyone in your life who is a woman, no matter what she's been through, no matter what state she's in right now, there's a power on the inside of her that we ought to honor. I am excited about Women's History Month. Every year we come together and we celebrate the extraordinary achievements of women. And when I think about history, when I say history to you, I want you to think about those unsung heroes. Ida, Lena, Lily, Hannah, Audrey. Who is your shero in your life? Thank you. Have a beautiful, beautiful Women's History Month. Dunamis Woman and RAM International Ministries salutes you.
Well, Michelle, do you know that woman who was just on that commercial right there today?
That would be me. Yes, that would be me. Looking lovely.
Looking lovely.
Yes.
So just giving kudos to women who've had to overcome obstacles, break through barriers from a historical standpoint.
You know, we talked about Shifra and Pua, you know, those two women working together, just fighters. We talk about, and I can name one of my favorite, all-time favorites, I have two, Mother Teresa, who in the slums of India, you know, transformed an entire nation. We give a lot of kudos to Gandhi, and which he deserves. But she also was a trailblazer in helping the poor. You know, I also often think about Fannie Lou Hamer. You know, we think about Martin Luther King Jr., but behind him was so many powerful women, and she was one who had a husband and children and different things of that nature, and went out anyway and sacrificed it all for the sake of the cause. You know, I think about all of the unsung heroes. I think about the women in, I always talk about, you know, Japan, and I always talk about Asia and these countries and these women who fought for their rights and were still fighting for their rights. I think about, she's an artist, her name is Frida, if I'm pronouncing it right. And all of the things that she went through, but through her art, she was able to transform, and she was able to speak to the lives of women who had been abused, who had been in terrible relationships, and she overcame. You know, so in every facet, I think about politicians. We can talk about Oprah Winfrey. We can talk about Eleanor Roosevelt. We can talk about women who stood up. We can talk about Anne Frank, you know, through her diaries, was able to transform and tell a story.
Maya Angelou.
You know, we can tell about, you know, what it feels like, or relating about a caged bird singing. There are so many different women.
And even, you know, at this event, we could talk about Mary D.
Man.
One of our own Chicago legends here.
When I was a young girl, I used to watch WGN, and she was the epitome of beautiful.
And you know what? And she still
And
is.
she still
And
is.
she still is. And for her to be our keynote speaker, and I had the privilege of interviewing her, and it will be on the show in the very, very near future. But just to read her book, to hear her heart, and to be in her midst, I was in the midst of history.
History maker.
I was in the midst of
She's
history.
definitely
You know,
history maker.
I was sitting on the couch interviewing her, but I really could have sat at her feet. You know, because that's the that's the power and the beauty of a woman when you can sit at a woman's feet. And that's what we used to do back in the day.
did.
Sit at their feet and glean from them. You know, understand who we are, understand where we came from. And our lives are just the same. As many years younger as she is than I myself, and I know she's older, so I'm saying that, you know, just to give her kudos in her seasoned life, you know, she still has a grace about her, and will always have that. But I honor that, you know, and I learned from that, but I still saw myself. We all look alike.
Yeah.
We all are alike. You just got to be free to be within yourself. So that is one powerful woman that will be there, that she'll be autographing the books. You can touch her. You can talk. You know, she's not that, stay away. You know, we have women have lost the sense of communion.
Yeah.
You know, we used to commune with one another. We used to know when your children was doing this and going in the house with someone, and we know who that was. And now women get on one another. That's my baby. Don't talk to them. And we're losing that sense of community. You know, where we can really respect one another. That's what we want to do as we celebrate. You know, that's what we want to do as we honor one another. Something happened to your child. I want to know that that's your child, and I have your back. You know what I'm saying? Because I want to do unto you as I would want you to do unto me. You know, if your child is out of pocket, I want to have the liberty to correct her in love. You know what I'm saying? But yet bring her back to you. That's the community we need to get back to. You know, and stand united for one another. So we're going to come back next week one more again, you know, because we're celebrating this entire month. And I want us to really talk about two powerful women, like unto what I was just stating, from a spiritual and biblical perspective, and that's Naomi and Ruth. You know, because if it wasn't for those women standing together and they making critical decisions to stand in the gap, they wouldn't have been redeemed. And everything they had, they got back through a real awesome man. I'm Pastor D. I want to thank you for tuning in, stay tuning, viewing Dunamis Woman and Ram Today right here. We'll be back next week. Talk to you soon. God bless you.